Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Scary Stories by the Campfire. We are your hosts tonight, Jeremy,
And Jason.
and we have a little tale of how we got into the business of selling corpses. Boy,
Yes.
because the tall man is back. He was only in it for like 45 seconds, but he's back.
He's in it for a little bit longer than that. I mean, he had enough that they announced him in the trailer.
That's true.
So,
That's very true. That's very true.
so,
So, I Sell the Dead. First time
yes.
ever watching this movie.
Oh, first time you ever saw this movie, Jeremy, huh?
Yes.
And what did you think?
I liked it. I thought it was great. I thought it was funny. I laughed
You
a
thought,
lot.
you thought it was great?
I did. I thought it was great.
Um,
I'm not too familiar with um, uh, Dominic Monaghan. I'm not too familiar with some of his work, but
I mean, you
besides besides Lord of the
yeah,
Rings.
you're right. Yeah, he was in am I making a funny noise? Anyone out there? Just let me know if it sounds different in my headset, so um I don't know if I'm sounding different to anyone else. But no, yes, he played in Lord of the Rings. He played wh-
Mary.
yeah, yeah, I know it was Mary. I was trying to think of the full name.
Oh.
Yeah, whatever. Well, he played a hobbit, so it was like really the first time um I really got to know the actor. And he made a small role in like Wolverine Origins. I remember him from
Yeah.
Wasted, Wasted, Wasted.
He's also in
Uh,
Lost.
yes, he also
I didn't know that. I've never watched
yeah,
the show. So,
he played a large role in Lost. I think everything I saw.
it's Meriadoc Brandybuck, by the way.
So it was Meridoc.
Yeah.
Meridoc. Yep. Yes, I knew it was a
Meriadoc
brandy bug. I
Brandybuck.
just. Yep.
Because he does the
Meridoc.
voice for him in both the Battle for Middle Earth video games.
Um, okay. Well, so yeah, he was kind of like the main reason I wanted to watch this movie, and I seen it one time before, and the funny thing about it is that I remember him being in prison, and I remember him having to tell his story to Ron Perlman as a monk. Well, spoiler alert, he's actually the head of the what do they call him, the Hands of Murphy.
Yeah. The House of Murphy.
House of Murphy, and which is apparently some sort of thuggish grave robbing group. And apparently, what makes this movie so hilarious and what's so funny about it is it's done in this like Victorian era, so it's all kind of uh, top of the morning to you type of thing,
Yeah.
and it starts off as like simple grave robbing, and you're like, oh, it's just grave robbing, and then the movie starts to really spiral into like left field. I completely forgot where they like dug up like that little baby coffin. And I had like a little child sized coffin.
It
And
was
it's
like
like,
Frozen.
yeah, it's like cold. And they're like, oh, we shouldn't be digging up kids or whatnot. And they're like, a body's a body. And then they dig it up. And when they pry it open, it's a space alien. It's just a random alien lying there. And it's just moments like that. It's just like,
What?
okay, what's. And then the one guy shows up and tries to attack him. And then like the aliens, I guess, just beam up the body, just and they disappear and they go like, well, that happened, and then they go about their own ways. It's yeah, I love this movie.
It was great.
Uh,
Like so that part was hilarious. I couldn't. Oh god, I made so many X Files references.
yeah, because the movie starts off pretty simple. Willie, who is the other guy, I'm gonna be really terrible with names because we watched it on Sunday, but
I liked
Willie
him
was
too. I
Willie
like the
was the
actor
other.
for him, Larry
And
Fessenden.
what else has he been in? Anything
He's
that you
not
may have
too
seen?
much. He does a lot of like directing and stuff like that.
Mm.
Um, like his IMDb page, he looks like a young Jack Nicholson.
He could probably play young Jack Nicholson. But yeah, so like in the beginning, Willie gets beheaded, whoopsh, and
Willie Grimes.
Father, whatever his name is, Ron Perlman's character,
Father
who
Duffy.
is it Duffy?
Yeah.
Okay, that's just an alias we all know because he was actually the dad at the House of Murphy.
Murphy.
But he goes in and he wants to know what to know uh, the main character. What's his name?
Arthur
It's
Blake.
Arthur.
Yep.
That was a name that we haven't really heard on this show before. But he wants to know Arthur's story, and Arthur's starts off like, yeah, I was working. I was like an apprentice grave digger with Willie when he was like a kid,
Yeah, he's
and
like 6 years old. Maybe
he's
8.
at,
They're
he's
digging
out there.
graves.
They're not digging graves; they're digging bodies up.
Or digging them up, yeah. Digging the.
And they're what? There's I think they're selling them to. I don't know if they were selling them in the beginning to. Um,
Dr. Quint. Come on. It ain't that. Yeah, it should be that fresh in your mind.
no, it's too much going on in this movie. I was trying to think of the actor's name.
Angus Scrim.
Yeah. It's always easier to remember the actor's name over like the actual character's name. But yeah, Scrim's character.
Yeah.
Who was what was he doing with him? Was he just
I think he was, like, I don't know, like cutting them open and stuff like that, but he needed fresh bodies.
needed fresh bodies? And they ended up digging up a vampire. And I'm trying to oh, there it is. Oh, my thing was right on there.
They were digging up a vampire. Come on, continue that thought.
No. I was looking at this thing because I was going to actually say that, in history, grave robbing was actually a thing. Like they would
yes.
dig it. I mean, yeah, I mean it's a thing, Jeremy. But I'm saying that they did it during times for like medical purposes. They'd hire people to go out there. They'd dig up the bodies, and scientists and doctors would, experiment on them and stuff like that and learn stuff. But so I guess that's kind of what he was doing in this one. But they dug up a vampire, and apparently Scrim wasn't paying them very well, and so they gave him the vampire, which is really funny because they dug up the body. Body had a stake in it. They pulled the stake out. Then they got attacked by the vampire. The vampire was like, attacking them and everything like that. And they put the stake back in. Or no, Arthur stuck. I think he stabbed him by accident.
Yeah, and it died, and then they started pulling it in.
Yeah,
and out.
Willie was like, "Oh, check this out," and he pulled it out, and she's like, "Ah!" And then they stabbed him again. And they pulled it back out, and he's like, "Ah!" They stabbed him. He's like, "I got an idea. We're gonna send him to Scrim."
And he opened up, and it attacked and killed him.
And then he was killed off screen. Wah, wah, wah.
Well, he wasn't killed, Jason. We all know that this is just one of the many tall men.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he pretty much was kind of like the tall man. And so he ended up. So they ended up going on their own way, and then they're picking up odd jobs of digging up bodies and whatnot. And I think they became more of a exclusive thing to like weird undiggings. It wasn't just like normal digging up bodies. They were now starting to tap into like the different like paranormal stuff, and they were having to compete with the House of Murphy.
Which you ever heard of the House of Murphy? You know what Cornelius Murphy's life growing up was? His dad bought him a chick.
His dad didn't buy him that chick, did it?
Yeah.
I thought he just found that thing. Was like, I want to keep this thing. I love this chick. And then
the dad stepped on the chick.
It wasn't like accident. He did it on purpose.
He walked over and stepped on. So then he got a rabbit, and to prevent it.
No, it was.
There was one before the chick, but I don't remember what it was.
He was like a toy or something. He had like a toy or something, and then he broke the toy or whatever. Then he got a chick, and then he stepped on the chick, and then
he got a rabbit. And to prevent his dad from killing the rabbit, he killed the rabbit and he ate it.
he ate on part of it. And it's kind of funny because the House of Murphy they're almost like a group of supervillains. You got like the dad who's like never seen, and that's because they expose him as Ron Perlman at the end. The son who is just, I guess, super mean, and he throws knives. Then you have the one woman who's like completely burned, and
Valentine.
she has like the face mask. And then you have that one strong guy, something about teeth. His name has something to do with teeth, right? Mouth something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
he had like the Howling Man.
The, the howling man. He didn't howl one time. Yeah. Well. So they're out doing their thing. They did the alien thing. That was fun. But then I guess the bartender had was talking to this one woman and heard about this interesting drop there. I guess there was she had one crate that had like some sort of zombie in it or something. I wouldn't call it a zombie because it
It was a ghoul.
was that a ghoul? I thought they were calling themselves ghouls because they're digging up, you know, other things than dead bodies, but whatever. Yeah, I think a ghoul is something. I don't know exactly what. Find me the definition of what a ghoul is. But and I'll continue. So um, they're told that there's these two other crates on the island, and they're paying big money for it. But the House of Murphy already has the job contracted, I guess. But they wouldn't be out there until morning. So I guess Arthur, Willie, and I guess the woman that Arthur is hooking up with. I don't know if they're dating or if they're who's it's or whatnots is, but she talks.
Ah,
She talks.
yes, Fanny Briars.
Fanny Bryan. She ends up talking Arthur into um, going out there and getting these boxes before the House of Murphy does. And Willie's like, "No, we shouldn't be doing it." Arthur's like, "Yeah, you know what? We could beat them out there." So they get out there. She ends up killed. And what?
Oh, I was just gonna say she's. You remember how we talked about like when I was uploading all the stuff from last week's episode, and I was like, "Oh, Jason, I found this single movie we can watch. It's got Angus Scrim and Reggie in it."
Oh my gosh, she in the same movie?
Yeah.
What is the actress's name? I don't know who that is.
It's Brenda Cooney.
Brenda?
Brenda. She plays a girl named Margaret.
Margaret. Uh, but so they go out to the island. She ends up getting killed by Cornelius.
In the
Um,
head with a knife.
yeah. They end up opening up one of the crates. I think it's like what, just a foot?
Yeah.
And then they open up the second crate, and it's got this zombie thing in it, the ghoul or whatever. And they end up getting locked up. They put the ghoul in the cage, and they have Arthur and Willie handcuffed to the cage, pretty much. And yeah, so uh, Cornelius was like, "Hey, why don't you talking to Valentine? She's got like a mask or whatever. You never get to see her face, but he's like, why
The
don't you
people who
show her?"
do die.
And he's like, why don't you show them your true face? She walks over there and she takes her mask off, and everyone's screaming, "Ah, ah!" They're all
And the
hollering and
zombies in
screaming.
the background, like,
He no, no, he wasn't like that.
he
He was
had
like,
like this big grin on his face. I kid you not.
he was. Oh, so there it is. Ghoul, an evil spirit or phantom, especially one supposed to rob graves and feed on dead bodies. Yeah, so I think these were like technically. I think that's why Arthur was referring to themselves as being ghouls because technically they rob graves. It's technically what they were talking about. Thank you, Raven. That was very nice of you. But yeah, so the zombie thing in the cage was all screaming too. He's like, "Ah, ah," and then they which this is kind of the downfall of it is like they set these characters up as kind of like these big players, and then the one the one other zombie who lost his foot gets out and attacks, and then the one in the cage breaks out, and attacks and pretty much kills both bad guys. And that's it. That's it for them. And so our heroes escape, and then it cuts back to them being in prison. And then we that's when we find out that the father is the father of Cornelius, and they have a little fight, and then all of a sudden, switch ending, dun dun dun. Willie's still alive,
After
strangely
getting
enough.
beheaded.
Yes, after being beheaded, he was carrying his head, and he managed to kill the house of Murphy, and
House of Mercy.
house of well, he got mercy. I don't know. That was barely a cut to the head. That looked like it's just like a normal like little cut to the forehead. I don't think he's entirely dead. And that's how the movie ends. Da, 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 da. They escape prison, and that's it. That's the movie. Pretty quick rundown. The movie's not that complicated. I think the funniest thing about it is the fact that you don't know entirely what to expect. It's done up as a horror comedy. It wasn't scary, but it was funny. I think it just had like the horror elements of grave digging, and I did like the setting itself. I think it really does um, play with its fantasy very well, because that's kind of what it was. Very fantastical in nature. But so, Jeremy, what did you really like about the movie?
I like the randomness.
The randomness.
Yeah, like, I mean, you kind of get an idea of what to expect, but they really were able to keep you on your toes the entire time because, first off, like you said, nobody's going to expect to open a coffin in this movie with an alien in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I'm just saying.
Like I said, when I saw this movie, I sat down and watched this movie, and I was like, "Wow, this movie is really funny. I like this movie." And even at that point, I was watching. I was like, "Is it? Was that an alien? There's an a okay." And then we just move right along, like nothing even like they don't even hold on that scene very much. It's like they do the alien scene, and then they never speak about it again, like it's normal. Like, hey, what is this thing? I don't know.
Yeah,
And
because
they were
uh,
playing tug of war with the body, three way. They each had like a limb. They're all kind of like tugging on it, and all of a sudden that bright light comes from the sky, and then the alien disappears, and they're all like, "Huh,
yeah, because he's like, "But
okay,
some beam of light took our score."
yeah." It just disappeared, and then they just got over it. They were like, "Oh, okay, we're good."
I also really liked Murphy. I don't know why. I like
Murphy, you mean like
Cornelius.
oh, Cornelius.
Yeah, like his whole character was just, I think, just well done. The actor John Sparadakos, the way he talked the entire time.
I think I think this movie is like by far one of the definitions of kind of like an original type of thing. It's not some sort of if you're looking for like a movie that's like blockbuster packed, and I think when we were watching it on Sunday, I don't know how far into the movie we were, but Raven had looked at me and she was like, "This movie's funny," or she said it was silly or something, and it was boring. And I looked down and went,
What?
"Well, no, not necessarily what. I mean, I could see because there's a lot of scenes where,
Boring?
well, they're just talking. You have this movie is done up in segments. It's kind of like there's the scene of them in the prison talking, and then it kind of side shifts to like the action
Yeah,
of what he's saying,
it's a
and then
story style.
and then it cuts back, and for the first, I'd say almost half the movie, it's more of just backstory. It's about him growing up with Willie as his, grave
Mentor.
digging grave digging mentor. And at that point it's just kind of like, eh. But I do like the the fun thing about it is that when you're watching it and he's doing like his first job or whatever, and Willie's like, get in the hole and dig that thing out and break open the wood, and once you break open the wood, you want to tie the rope around whatever's in there. When he did that and he started pulling the body up, he was gonna help Arthur out of the pit there. It looked like he was gonna like hit him with a shovel for some reason, but I guess he didn't. And
Yeah,
then they almost became like best friends.
yeah,
You
he
know?
was going to give the body to Scrim.
Yeah. So to make that extra money, but then they turned into like best friends, partners, as I should say, not really.
One of my favorite scenes from the grave robbing stuff is, besides the alien, was when he was a kid and they went to that funeral, and like he went in there and cried, and then they were like, "Oh, we'll give you some time," so he locks the door behind him, and they
Hmm.
steal it out the other door.
I guess the fresher the corpse, the better the price. I guess, but
You like my new
apparently,
cart?
yeah, he, he that's the best thing with this movie is that it's done in like a Victorian London type of uh, time. So he's showing off his new cart. So it's pretty much like a flat wheelbarrow. Where he's like, "Yeah, I got, look at my new cart." It's da, 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 da. And then the wheel breaks off of it. It just broke off, and they didn't even bother to take their stuff with them. Like once the alien, that was the one when they went to do the alien, and they were going down the hill or whatever, and then the wheel broke, so they took a couple of their tools. They went down there and dug it out, and then the aliens came by and took it away, and then they just left. Didn't take the cart, didn't take the tools, just left. Um, but I do like um, how this movie does kind of, as it goes on, it gets more far fetched, and yet, you know, Father Cornelius there, or Father of Cornelius, House of Murphy guy, Ron Perlman's character was just, he's just kind of like, yep, and he's writing it down. It's like, yeah, yeah, everything makes it, it checks out, it makes sense. Da, 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 da. But I guess the House of Murphy is some sort of, I guess you could think of this as like um, Arthur and Willie, or like Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt from Twister, and the House of Murphy is
Jonas.
is Jonas. They got corporate backing.
Jonas.
They got everything. They got all the good stuff over on this. So that's
They got their own
uh,
version of Dorothy.
yeah. So if it wasn't really for Lord of the Rings, there, I probably wouldn't have ever actually watched this movie. I usually tend to watch certain movies because of actors, not because of the idea. I'm actually starting to expand on that a little bit, but usually if it's like, oh, I know this actor, and he plays in this weird movie, I'm gonna check it out, and that's how I come across this one.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it happens a lot. You I guess a big prime example um is Cillian Murphy. You people you know when Christian Bale Batman first came out, he plays the bad guy, one of them.
You mean the Scarecrow, Jeremy?
Yes, I
Come
do.
on, Jeremy. He's the Scarecrow.
In
Actually,
all three of them. The only Batman villain, like you pointed out, to appear in three movies
okay.
back to back.
Let's just tone that down a little bit. Yes, he was in all three movies, but he only played the Scarecrow in like one of them. He was just Jonathan Crane in the other two.
He wore the mask in both of them.
I Yeah, well, yeah, that's right. He did in the second one, just right at the beginning. Did he didn't? I don't think he wore it in the third one.
I don't
I think
remember if he.
he was just like the judge character under the bridge, like
But
he was like throwing cops in the lake and stuff. You're guilty. Throw him over. Or they had to cross
they
the
had to
icy
cross the
lake,
ice,
like
like
they fell in
underneath
and
the
they just died.
bridge.
Yeah, but he didn't wear a mask at that point.
But
But
you see this character, and you go looking into his backstory, and he plays in 28 Days Later.
Yeah, I do remember him from that one.
You know, and then he's also in the new Oppenheimer movie. He actually plays
Yeah,
the main character.
yep, Oppenheimer in that one. It was actually kind of funny because I actually got on a kick with him. It was Batman, it was Red Eye, um, 28 Days Later, and then I actually started going back further and actually like seeing some of his stuff that he did like overseas because
Mm-hmm.
he's from like Ireland or whatever. And I watched this one. It was I think it was called like Perrier's Bounty or something like that. I probably butchering that first one, but that's actually kind of like, it's supposed to be like a drama slash comedy or whatever. And it that movie was really good. I like that one. I may have to watch that one again.
I know it's a popular, but you need to watch Peaky Blinders.
Yes, he was on Peaky
He's
Blinders.
he's the main character in that too.
I know that. I've watched I don't know, watched like 6, 7 episodes or something from the first season. I've got too many shows I'm watching right now. I got way too many. We actually got our new Sunday show, The Rookie.
Oh,
Yeah. So, um, but yeah, so this movie was it was a fun little watch. It's not long. I don't think
no.
it was. I don't even know how long it was compared to some of those other movies where you're sitting there going, "Oh my, is this movie over yet?"
Yeah, you were saying that about the second Exorcist movie.
The second one I was talking about, I think in part because I was tired on that one, but
It
that movie was just really silly to begin with, and not in like the super fun way.
it was an
Like,
hour and 25 minutes.
this movie was an hour and 25. Very, very decent paced movie. I like I said, the beginning is kind of like the slowest part because it's kind of more like backstory and whatnot. But once you start getting into the little segment with the alien and the segment with the vampire and the segments with the ghouls as stuff picks up, it does get a little bit more interesting. Um, yeah, I think I ended up buying this one at like FYE for like five $5. So definitely worth a buy for me.
So apparently Ron Perlman, the original script was turned down by him, and he sent notes back on how to improve the screenplay. And
I want to know what the original was then. If Ron Perlman's like, no. I wonder what. I mean, because he said yes to Blade 2, and he played a race. I think he played a racist vampire killer. I think he was like semi-racist. What was he a vampire? Or was he a vampire killer? He
and what?
Blade 2.
I don't remember.
He was part of the group that was out killing vampires, but I think he was also part vampire. I'm not entirely sure. I have to
You
go
know,
back
there's a
and watch.
graphic novel for this, right?
Is it a continuation or is it just the same thing?
I don't know. It just said a graphic novel of the film has been released, so you might
Ah,
have to look into that.
uh, yeah, I may have to.
And Angus Scrim did all his own violin playing during that scene.
I I'm surprised at that. I didn't know he could play violin, but it was a very after after he played, I was like, "Ooh, that is actually really really good." Dun, 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 dun. What was the budget on this movie? The movie budget was only $450,000.
IMDb has something different.
Oh, IMDb has something different.
Estimated 750.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
But it could be wrong. And then the a good cast is worth repeating appears just before the end credits. It's a catchphrase from Universal Studios in the 20s and 30s. It appeared in every genre they made, but they produced a dozen or so classic horror films during that time, and that was a quote I guess they put in it at the end of the movie,
Huh.
which I think is actually very interesting. I wonder why they don't do
In,
it anymore.
I don't know. Image Comics released a comic book adaptation of the movie back in 2009. Uh,
Interesting.
Scareflix planned a sequel for 2011, which has not as yet been made.
Interesting.
It's yeah, I don't think anything's coming out of this movie. I don't. To be honest, this movie doesn't really need a sequel.
No, not at all.
I think this being one of those movies that I think it did just fine on its own. It does leave with a kind of like you see Willie and Arthur, leaving, and Willie's still kind of carrying his head. I think Arthur said something about sewing his head back on or something like that. But
Yeah.
other than that, that was it. That was how
Well,
the
no, they did do the whole Cornelius Murphy coming
oh
out of the
yeah,
water.
yeah, he rises out of the water kind of like Jason does at the end of part one. Just whoosh. And it's to show that he survived and he's
There's your sequel, Jason.
yeah,
Cornelius Murphy is coming back.
yeah. I don't think it needs to be. I think this was a fun little film just by itself.
Nah,
And,
brah. We need that sequel. We want to know. We want modern day Grave Robin.
where did I see? I just saw.
I don't know what.
Wendigo.
Oh God, do not watch that movie.
Don't watch Wendigo.
Me and Mom watched it. It was on Shutter.
He's on Shutter. Wait, didn't we watch it? What was that
No.
really? Oh no, we watched that Winter Beast.
Yeah, we did.
Wait, what did he? Oh, he directed Wendigo.
Yeah, but like Cornelius Murphy, the guy who plays him, is in it.
No,
It's
I'm saying. Yeah, I'm
it's
saying the guy. I'm
really
saying
bad.
the guy. Yeah, the guy who
Plays Willie. Yeah.
Yeah, he directed it.
Yeah, it's really not that good. It's really boring.
Wait. Wendigo. The film was produced by Antidote Films and Glass Eye Pix and was distributed by Magnolia Pictures. It was released at theaters on January 23rd, 2001 for a limited time and received mixed reviews by critics. The film was not a major box office attraction and bombed as it scored $1,100 on opening weekend.
PJ, do you remember us watching it? Cuz it's got the kid from Malcolm in the Middle in it. The youngest one. I cannot think of his name. Oh my god. Oh god, it's
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, he
I just saw Wendigo. I was like, oh.
Yeah, no, dude, it's you want to talk about a boring movie?
I was thinking of Winter Beast for some reason. Oh, that movie's horrible.
That movie is amazing. You keep your mouth shut.
Oh, this is
Dewey.
I sell the Dead is the film debut from Irish director Glenn McQuaid. Is this his first movie?
That's interesting.
He did I Sell the Dead. He did a segment of VHS called Tuesday the 17th. He did a segment called The Trouble with Dad on a series called Chilling Visions, 5 States of Fear. That's it. He did 4 movies, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah.
God, that movie was so boring. I can't. You don't even see a Wendigo in that movie.
Well, they got Wendigo listed. We just ran off on a tangent on Wendigos and stuff.
Okay, if you're going to want to watch a Wendigo movie, watch Antlers. I'm telling you, that movie's fantastic.
He has 3 names.
I think she's talking about the kid who plays Dewey.
Oh.
His name is Eric Per Sullivan.
Ah. Yeah, I didn't really watch Malcolm in the Middle.
That's the only reason. So like I remember us sitting, me and mom watching. We were flipping through Shutter, and we were like, "Let's. What do we want to watch? Like, let's pick something we've never seen before." And we're flipping through, and we come across Wendigo, and we see who it has in it. And we're like, "Oh, it's got the kid from Malcolm in the Middle, and it's from 2001." So
Was that before? No.
I think
Yeah,
it was
was
during.
that before? Was it before or after you had played Until Dawn?
After.
After? That's probably why. Right. The problem with Shutter is that you can get on there and find a whole bunch of good stuff on there, but then you're gonna go, "Ooh, this movie looks interesting," and it's just dirt. It's just dirt. You're like, "Wow, okay, well, thank goodness I'm not paying a whole lot for this."
And Winter Beast was not dirt.
Oh, Jeremy.
It is. We're gonna watch that on this podcast. I'm just saying. I'm gonna subject you all to it
To that
again.
Claymation, just the movie is so. Oh, you wait, folks. You wait until you see that.
No CGI.
No, just stop motion claymation for the monsters and whatnot. It's ridiculous.
It's so good, especially that like weird dragon thing at the end. It's like old school Godzilla.
Oh God, it is so horrible. I think I was sitting there watching, going, "What am I? What?" It feels like it'd been filmed in the 70s. It had kind of that low quality attached to it.
Jason's over there.
I had to watch that. I think I had to watch that one by myself. I was just watching it, and I think I was watching it by myself, and it was horrible. No, maybe you were there with me. Maybe you were watching.
Yeah, it was me, you, and Mary. Because we were all sitting there chill on Discord talking. You're like, yeah, well, let's watch a movie. Jeremy, you picked the movie. I was like, I got the movie.
Oh, that's right. We all were there. That's kind of our first big movie moment. And you gave us that movie to watch.
It had like the big vulture head.
Oh God, Jeremy, you gave us that movie to watch. I remember now. I had to scrub that one from my memory.
The cop or that park ranger who has his sunglasses on at all times.
Never took them off. Okay. We gotta get back to I Sell the Dead.
By the way, that movie came out in 1992.
What, Winter Beast?
Yeah.
So it felt like an old movie. we ain't even talking about that one.
You sounded like Alex Myers on some of his videos. He's just like, "This is the greatest movie I ever seen."
No, this was not the greatest movie I'd ever seen. But I Sell the Dead was a pretty good one. That's
Well, it is a pretty great one. But did everybody else think it was a pretty great movie? I think that's the next question. But before we get to it, I want to know, what's your favorite death?
Well, geez, this movie's full of deaths. Let's see. I'm gonna take Angus Scrimm off the board because
he's not dead.
No, his was off screen.
He's not dead.
And we're gonna take it's gonna be really hard to say because there isn't like really a crazy death scene in any of these movies. I would probably go with Fanny. I'm not gonna say it's like my favorite one, like because like I said, there's not like a whole lot of actual like the vampire.
Mine was Valentine.
Yeah, see, I mean, she just got kind of like the one ghoul thing jumped on her and kind of killed her, and it was kind of there's like not like a whole lot of blood or gore or anything like that.
The alien, my bad. The alien was my favorite death. He was already dead.
First of all, he was already dead.
So
I would have to say I had to give it to Fanny because I completely forgot that she died. Like I'd already seen the movie once,
It does
and
come out of left field.
he's like, "Hey, look what we got! We got that," and then she just collapses. And for some strange reason, I thought she came back as like a vampire or something. And I was like, "Oh, she." Wait, no, I remember this now. She dies. She comes back as something, and that's kind of the whole "don't trust a ghoul" or whatever. Don't trust a corpse. And no, she stays dead. I'm like, oh, okay, that's okay. So I have to give it to her because she was like the only one that was really like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Ooh, actually, you know what? Take that back. I'll give it to that one guy, howling, howling man or whatever. Because that was actually a pretty good one where she like slits his throat.
Yeah.
She gets up behind him, like slits his throat, and it just starts bleeding. Yeah, so I actually take that one. Um, and that was kind of funny. They're like, "We're not. What did you do? You're not supposed to kill him." She's like, "Well, we're here. Might as well do it."
Yep.
So
Well, let's see what everybody else thought. On a scale of 1 to 10, and IMDb with 11,000 votes, what do y'all think everybody thought of I Sell the Dead?
IMDb 1 out of 10.
And while everybody's voting, so guess what I just read, Jason? Has nothing to do with any of this, by the way, but I just happened to see it.
What did you say?
The release date for the new Saw movie has been
There's another
pushed forward.
Saw. There's another Saw movie.
There is. Tobin Bell's gonna be in it.
It's gonna end up being like another prequel.
I mean, I don't know. You know how these Saw movies are. They're all over the place. It's like a giant soap opera.
Yes, yes, they are.
Waiting on the Raven Fire. And anybody else who wants to play.
Yes, everyone is welcome to play.
By the way, I sent you a picture. And you tell me that zombie thing
no, I saw the picture. He looked
isn't smiling.
he's kind of smiling, but I think my favorite part was when he just started screaming.
Oh, we'll give everyone a couple more minutes. But yeah, they got a new Saw movie. So I guess we'll have to wait on that series until that movie comes out.
What is these movies?
I don't know. Alrighty. All the votes are in. At least I think they are. We have PJ at a 7.4, Jason at a 6.8, Raven at a 5.9, and Amber at a 6.3.
Oh. Amber's back, I see. Ready to conquer the scoreboard.
Well, she ain't conquering it this round. This round goes to Ravenfire, as it was a 6.0 out of 10.
Are you kidding me?
She missed it by 0.1.
She was almost on the dot there.
Almost. Like so close to it.
Congratulations.
Oh,
yeah.
But we ain't done yet. Not by a long shot. Because it's time
for the rotten tomato.
Boy.
Boy.
Give me those tomatoes. Boy. The fresher, the better.
The fresher, the better. Okay, Rotten Tomato 0 to 100.
Tomato meter 0 to 100.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with 65.
PJ with the 72. Ah. Amber with the 68. And Raven, we just waiting on you. 57. Ooh, man, y'all are tight nicking this one.
65, 72, 68, 57.
Well, on the positive side, none of y'all went over.
Oh, wow. Really? That okay, that must mean that PJ took that round.
The tomato meter was a 73% out of 100. PJ, you missed it by 1.
So we got Raven missing it by 0.1. We have PJ missing it by 1. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man, oh, man.
And now, the audience score.
The audience score. I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna go with a straight up 70.
Aw, yeah. PJ going. Oh, she going way up there.
She's saying that the audience really loves this movie.
83.
That's what she's saying. That's what she's telling me right now.
All right. Saw. It's called Saw X.
What?
I think it's Saw 10. Away because they stopped the numbers at 9.
As they should. Are you talking about Saw X?
Yeah.
Jason X. Yes, sir. Oh my God. Does Jigsaw go to space? Uber Saw.
It's apparently set between Saw 1 and 2.
What? Oh my God. What those movies like take place like just like maybe like weeks apart? If that you try to square. You know what we have? You know what we have right here, folks? In between Saw 1 and Saw 2, technically there's like 3 days that exist in between those two movies. Let's fill it with something.
He wasn't at home having dinner, going to bed, waking up, having dinner, going to bed. No, he was doing something.
He had a whole nother. He's just a very busy man. He's like saw trapping everybody. It's like, I'm sorry.
So
I have a 3 o'clock appointment.
That's why he's in this movie, is because technically between Saw 1 and 2 he is alive. He doesn't die till 3.
Spoilers for anyone who hasn't watched it. Jesus, Jeremy.
Oh my God. Hey, so if we
okay.
watch this in chronological order, like, are we supposed to like watch half a movie and then jump to another movie?
I don't think it would be feasibly possible. I think
You'd watch like 30 minutes of one and have to jump to another movie.
I mean, you couldn't even really watch like
Oh God.
Jigsaw, because like half of that movie takes place before 1, but also takes place at the end of the series.
You'd have to keep flipping, but
It doesn't work that way. You're not gonna be able to watch any Saw movie in any sort of chronological order. Now that I said that, people out there are gonna be like, "Yes, you can watch this." Okay, you got to get you have to fast forward to 1 minute and 23 seconds, and then you have to watch all the way up to 2 minutes and 33 seconds, and then you need to switch to Saw 5 and one.
Just in Saw 2, you would have to bounce so much because the trap plot is like 3 days before the cop plot.
Yeah, it's weird.
Anyway, tangent on Saw. Jesus. Okay.
Okay, so I said 70, PJ said 83, Raven said 78, and Amber says 80.
So
I got the lowest score.
It's kind of funny because this is not what I was expecting for this movie. All of y'all busted. The audience score was a 47%. This is one of those movies that, though, I did not expect when I pulled this up for the critics to actually like more than the audience.
I thought it was definitely gonna rate what? No way. Um, I definitely thought this movie was gonna be one of those ones that ranked higher because I think a lot of the advertising for it was like it got awards. Did this thing win anything?
I'll tell
I
you here in
think
a
from
minute.
like independent film festivals. We're not talking about Emmys or Oscars or anything like that. We're talking about like I think it was released in like
Uh,
film festival.
yeah, it had one win and 5 nominations.
So I mean it did good. It was it was noticeable during these like independent film circuits. So that's why in my head I'm going, okay, this is gonna score higher. Now, maybe the audience thinks like me sometimes. It's like, you see a movie come out and they're like, oh, this movie made you know billions of dollars at the box office. It's one of those highly acclaimed movies. It's winning Oscars all across the board. And I'm looking at it going, the boat sinks. I already know what happens. I don't need to know anything else. So
Yeah, the
I don't
boat sank. It killed a bunch of people, and it still claimed 4 more victims so long afterwards.
but yeah, so I could probably understand why this movie wasn't like a big hit with people per se, like general audiences, probably because of kind of how it's done up. But I do think it is a well written film. I do like the energy that the cast brings to it. They make it seem normal. It's not like they make grave robbing seem entirely normal. Like if I get tired of my job, I just want to go grave robbing. It looks fun. I can stand out in the dark and eat sandwiches while leaning on a shovel. Or whatever that sandwich was. I thought it
Oh,
was
that looked
I thought,
gross.
I thought it looked like tuna fish.
I got
Like
a
it was just
sandwich here. You have a what? It's 2 pieces of bread with stuff in the middle.
it's a sandwich. What do you call it? He called it something and he's like, no, sandwich. A sandwich. I think he's like, you got a sandwich? No, a sandwich. What's on it? Well, it's 2 pieces of bread, and there you put stuff in the middle of it. Like they never, Victoria, England, they never knew what a sandwich was. But yeah. Then he opened it. He was trying to explain. He's like, it's got this, well, stuff in the middle, and then he closes it up, and the guy's like, oh, give me half of your sandwich. He's like, I'll give you half of my sandwich. You give me a swig of your whiskey. And then he drank half the whiskey, I guess, from that little flask, and that's what I was talking about when I said the movie made the character seem very likable.
Yeah, no, it was the characters definitely made this movie, and they definitely looked like they were having a good time doing it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, uh, who you gonna want to grave rob with? Probably your BFF. And that's pretty much how they played it. Is that they were like, you could definitely tell that they had some sort of chemistry on screen, and Willie was always kind of he was kind of the crazy one in the beginning, but when it came to like competing with the House of Murphys, he was like, no, 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 no. These guys kill people, and then they take your corpse. So I don't want to cross them. But yeah, it was a fun movie. I really enjoyed this movie. It's nice to find movies that aren't real big, and they
Yeah.
do have some fun to them. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's all the time we have for tonight. This has been a very enjoyable experience. Next week is Jason's series choice. And I have a friend who actually wants to join us on this one.
Oh, wait, was it? Did they specifically want to join us because of the series, or is it just because it was coming up?
It's the movie
Oh, it's the movie. Like, which one?
Evil
You got it.
Dead. Or which friend?
Oh, I mean, like, which movie?
The first one. If
Okay.
he said any of them, but I'm gonna try and do the first one if he's available. Uh,
Yay.
it's Sam. You know him. You've played with him. We've played games
Yeah,
with him.
Sam.
Um,
Wait, does Sam watch our show?
oh yeah, supports it, shares it all the time.
Oh, okay. Hi, Sam. Shout out to you.
Um,
You should get on here live when we actually do the IMDb thing, and it's more fun if we had like a bunch of people.
yeah, we'll get to that point. It all takes time. Gotta grow.
Yeah.
Gotta
so-
plant the seeds. You gotta plant the seeds and cultivate and grow. It's like Jack and the
Yeah.
Beanstalk. You just gotta grow.
All right, so Jeremy, you got our trailer ready before we sign out?
Oh,
Because
I
know you.
do.
Yeah, because you already kind of spoiled it.
Eh,
You already
They
said
didn't-
what it was, but
they
you know
didn't
what?
hear me. It's okay.
Oh yeah, sure they did. Okay. Well, I guess we could say that the next movie series we're going to be doing, it's going to be groovy.
God, that was corny.
Oh come on, Jeremy, the whole movie's corny.
Oh God, that was so bad. Oh God, that was so corny. That was great.
Yep.
That was great.
Look, people are already chanting "Good night, guys," and I'm excited because I did hear Ella. Yeah, you're gonna be excited now. You'll be excited now when we watch like the originals, and then we get to the newer stuff, and you're gonna be like, "I can't watch this no more. This is too stressful."
Nah, when we watched the remake, the first remake is when we gotta have Savannah join us for movie night.
first, no. Okay, first of all, she has issues with
Blood.
Yeah, I just don't want to say it in case she's listening. She'd be passing out, but that movie's chock full of it. It's nothing but just gallons of it.
It is,
And not-
especially at the end.
Well, I mean, the first two movies are chock full of like that,
Yes.
but it's kind of done more in a comical sense, not the oh yeah, swallow this. So yeah. Okay, so we're good. Yeah, we're getting into the good stuff. We're getting into the fun stuff. I'm gonna be playing this for the next like several weeks. Be playing it on the Xbox.
Well, we will see
but-
y'all next week, and hope the Deadites don't get us.
Yeah, we're just gonna spoil it now. All right, just go ahead and play that beautiful Deadite footage, Jeremy. All right, later, everyone. Good evening. Be safe out there doing whatever it is you're doing, and we'll have fun.
Good morning, good evening, and good night.
Good night.
No, it was the woods themselves. They're alive, Ashley.
I fear that the only way to stop those possessed by the spirits of the book is through the act of bodily dismemberment.
I don't care what happens to her. She's your girlfriend. You take care of her.